Hello, my honeys. How is everyone doing? How are we feeling about that nickname actually? I have been calling you guys honey and honey crew a lot, especially on my TikTok. How are we feeling about that nickname or for our community and our fan base? Like, how are we feeling about that? But otherwise, hello, welcome back to the Middle Sister Podcast. Welcome back if you're new here. Hello, hi, I'm Safira. We talk about anything and everything here and how we're all just figuring it out. Today has been quite a hectic day. I don't know when I will be posting this, but on the day I'm filming this, I did film episode 7 as well. It is just later in the day. I'm at home now and I'm just really relaxing and recovering from the long weekend. I figured we could have some dinner together and really just reflect on high school and some of the friendships that I had throughout the year. I do have some ginger ale in a cup with me, and I decided to treat myself to some sushi. I love sushi. I decided to treat myself for just getting through this week and finishing high school. I do graduate Wednesday, but my last day was Friday, and it's just so surreal knowing that today's Sunday and I don't have to wake up for school tomorrow. It's so awkward because people are going to be there. Like my underclassmen will be there because they still have their finals, but all the seniors don't have to be there. So it's so surreal. But I wanted to have some dinner with you guys and really just reflect on some of the things within high school that we don't usually reflect on completely. Okay, so my sushi, I got the Philly roll, and then I was looking and I wanted to try this rock and roll thing they had. So I got that. I'm not gonna eat that just yet because I haven't tried it before, but I am gonna get into this Philly roll. But I wanted to really talk about friendships in this episode and how sometimes they don't just end, they just kind of turn into something else. And really just talking about what that something else is as someone who has experienced some of those encounters. So let's get into that. But first, I want to open this sushi and eat some. The reason I wanted to talk about this topic specifically is because in my senior year, as I've talked about before and kind of debriefed a little bit, I had this friend, Isabel. And Isabel honestly meant a lot to me. She was kind of like a silent prayer to me that had been answered. She came into my life at a very rough point when I didn't have a lot of friends and I was trying to just figure out who I was, who I wanted to be, and I was trying to surround myself with people that were kind and loving and had the same like ambitions almost as me, like similar people that wanted to strive for better than what we had. Isabel was kind of that person for me. I met her my freshman year and we didn't click at first. We had PE together and we got along when we got into later into that year when our coach had us playing pickleball. I'm not a fan of pickleball. Like, don't ever have me play that game again. No, thank you. Um, but we ended up being partners for our pickleball like course, and I had to do all my pickleball stuff with her. And we just got kind of close over that period. And then as the years went on, we realized that we had more classes together, and we kind of just grew closer. After my first breakup with Baker is when I really got in touch with her and became closer with her. And that friendship was obviously a big part of my life. I spent a lot of my time talking to her, hanging out with her, planning things with her, stuff like that. We didn't get to hang out outside of school a lot. Like a lot of our hangouts and our talks and our conversations were usually within school grounds just because her parents are really strict and not very trusting. So we only got to have like three sleepovers. It was in the 4 years of friendship we had probably three sleepovers. But it's it's all okay. It's all okay. Um, but in senior year, that friendship with Isabel turned into something completely different that I just wasn't expecting. And I honestly think had things played out differently my senior year, if there was different aspects, different elements, I still think Isabel and I would have had a falling out. I don't think we would have made it to the end of our senior year as friends still. But the way our falling out had happened did end up having it just turn into something else. It wasn't really like like a fast snap of the finger change. It was more like weeks worth of drawn out drama that just continued afterwards. And it was really like different, and it still is different to not be friends with her considering I would see her around campus so much. But when we had our falling out in the beginning, when she first started getting these feelings she was having towards me in this like anger moment, um she had started distancing herself from me and not like talking to me in our class periods. Like we had first period together and usually we would hang out in the morning and then walk to first period together, and throughout first period we would be talking to each other if we weren't doing like coursework that we had to participate heavily in. Um and a couple weeks before she had sent her long message to me about how I wasn't a good friend, she had started hanging out more with this other girl that she was friends with. We'll call her Sally. She started hanging out with Sally a lot more, and she would like wait for her in the morning and then would come into first period with her. And then throughout first period during our bell work and all of our coursework, she would stop not really talking to me and she'd talk mainly to just Sally. And at the time, our table dynamic was me, Isabel, and then our desks were facing this way, and then there was two desks facing each other this way. And so in this desk was my friend um Alice, my friend Alice, she was sitting right here, and then Sally was over here. And Alice had even noticed that Isabel was pushing me off and not talking to me and talking more to Sally. And so Alice was always trying to pull me into conversation so that I didn't feel like I wasn't talking to anybody. Well, after a few days of that happening, I had really gotten fed up and I wasn't going to sit there and just not be talked to. So I had ended up just sitting on my phone the entire time because at that point it was like, I'm not going to waste my time trying to get somebody's attention who clearly doesn't want my attention at all and would rather not talk to me. So I'm just not even going to try. And that was really heartbreaking for me because first period was always Isabel's and I's talking time. That's usually how we would debrief our evenings from the day before. So like if we went to school Tuesday, we talk about what happened through our night Monday. Our like Monday night, we talk about what would happen, and then we talk about what we had planned for the rest of the day, and then the next day we would talk about if our plans had actually happened. So for that time to be taken away from me, it was kind of like heartbreaking almost because Isabel and I were rather close, and she was the only friend that I had that I was with every day that I spent time with. So it was really hard um losing that attention from her because I was so used to being her go-to, like the person she was always talking to first. So it was just different not being the person she was confiding in. Shortly after Isabel had stopped talking to me in first period was when she had sent me her long message of how I wasn't a good friend. And I don't have the message saved on my phone because to me it's just pointless to save screenshots of words that hurt my feelings at this point because I know what's said. The other person knows what's said. If I feel the need to talk about what was said to me and how I feel about it, I can just talk about it with that person or just re explain how I feel to somebody if I feel like I haven't been heard. You know what I mean? Like, if I feel like I'm still not understanding a part of the situation, I'll go to my mom and I'm like, you know what I don't get is like this part of the situation. I'll explain it, and then I'll just be like, like what the heck happened? Like I'm confused. Like for example, the other day I was going through my yearbook when I had my year when I got my yearbook for the beginning, and I was looking at the club pictures, and I was in book club, and so was Isabel and Sally. But Isabel and Sally had stopped going to book club mainly because Sally didn't want to go anymore because she felt like all of the books that we were reading in book club just weren't her style. And no offense to Isabel, she was a lovely friend and we did have amazing times, but she's very codependent. She struggles to make her own decisions without following somebody else's footsteps. And when Sally was super amped on leaving book club because she didn't want to be in there anymore, Isabel followed right behind her. And I was like, well, I kind of want to stay in book club, even if I'm not agreeing with the book they're reading right now. So I was like, you guys can stop going, but I'm chilling. I'll stay in book club, even if I'm not going at the moment. I know I'll go later on. And so they had ended up stopping going to book club. Well, I was still in the book club group chat, and at the time that book club had taken their pictures, I believe Sally and Isabel had stopped going to book club. And when I had got my yearbook and I was looking at the club pictures, I had seen that in the book club pictures, Sally and Isabel were in them, but I wasn't. Now I knew I wasn't because the day that book club had taken their pictures, mind you, they had 2 picture days, I wasn't there because I was sick. And I believe that they shouldn't have been there because they had already stopped going to the club. So, how they ended up in the pictures, I'm completely baffled. That was something I didn't understand. And I had brought it up to my school security guard that I was talking to. I was like, yo, explain this to me. How did this happen if this and this and this? Like it was a whole thing. But shortly after Isabel had distanced herself in first period was when I received her long message where she was telling me essentially that I was a bad friend and I didn't pay enough attention to her and I was rude to everyone else. How I was rude to everyone else considering I only talked to her, I have no idea. Um but she was saying that essentially I was just a bad friend and she was going to end up sitting with Sally and Sally's other friend. Um at lunch and was just going to sit with Sally in first period and just distance herself from me because she felt like that was what was best. And I remember reading that message and like not responding at first because I was just like extremely irritated because to me I felt like it was so disrespectful because she was distancing herself from me, but I was the one being called a bad person, but she wasn't the one communicating and she was the one at fault. Like it was her mistreating me, but somehow I was a bad person and it was just baffling to me. I was just so utterly confused. I genuinely was. I was confused. I didn't respond to Isabel's message for a few days actually. It was quite a while before I responded to her. And when I responded to her was um a little bit before I had ended up breaking up with Baker. And Baker was another situation where, because it goes for relationships too. Sometimes relationships don't just end, they morph into something different before they end. And Baker was definitely another situation like that for me. And it was such a difficult period in time for me to be losing two separate people in a similar manner. And when I had responded to Isabel's message, at that time, my relationship with Baker was already morphing into something different because a few weeks before I had broken up with Baker, all we were doing was arguing. Everything that we would end up talking about would just end up in a bicker of some sort or an argument. And to me, what was really irritating to me, that was bothering me, was that everything that he was doing in those weeks leading up to the breakup, was irritating me. And that's when I started to realize that the relationship was going to come to an end very soon if things didn't change, because everything he was doing was irritating me. And I had never felt that way before around him. So for everything that he was doing that was irritating me, I was starting to get concerned about my own feelings within the relationship. And all of our arguments would usually end up in me being annoyed and wanting to get away from him, and him crying, wanting my attention. And it was always just something with that whole dynamic. We were always arguing within this time. And when I had responded to Isabel's message was another argument between Baker and I, because he really wanted me to delete Instagram. If he could, he would have tried to get me to delete all social media and have me removed from the face of the planet, honestly. Um because he just didn't want me seen ever. Like it was, it genuinely tweaked him out for people to see me. Like I don't know what it was, but we were arguing about me having Instagram and posting on Instagram. And so it had gotten to a point where I didn't want to argue with him anymore. And so I told him I would just delete it, because at that point he was starting to challenge my ego. And that's how he tripped me into this, was he knew I wasn't just going to give it up out of my own accord. He knew I had to be challenged in some sort of way, because my ego is super big at times. At times my ego can be rather big. And when I'm challenged, I go for the challenge 100% of the time. And when he realized I wasn't going to just delete Instagram because he wanted me to, or on my own accord because I love Instagram, he had started telling me that I was never not on my phone. All I was doing was on my phone. I couldn't go a day without social media. And we had ended up getting into an argument, and he was like, "You couldn't go one day without social media. I bet you couldn't survive an hour without Instagram." And at that point, I had looked at him and I was like, "You really think I can't survive without Instagram? That's really what you think?" And he was like, "Yeah, I really think that you can't survive without Instagram." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And so that's when I was like, "Oh, I'm going to delete Instagram, since you think you can play games with me that I can't go without being on social media. Like, you really think I'm that brain rotted? This is crazy." And so that's when the shot to my ego took, and I was like, "Nah." And I had ended up typing out a message to Isabel, and I had sent it, and I had told her, like, in the beginning of the message, that by the time she had read it, I wasn't gonna have Instagram anymore. So when she replied, I wasn't gonna see it, because at that point it was, yeah, I'm deleting Instagram, but it wasn't a I want to have the last word thing for me. It was, I want to say how I feel without you trying to come back and rage bait me. Like, you're just gonna have to hear what I have to say and realize that I'm not gonna hear your side, because you're wrong, and I'm not going to sit here and be disrespected like that. It's just not going to happen. And so, um, I had sent her a message, and then I had ended up deleting Instagram. Well, I had went a month without Instagram, and then I had ended up breaking up with Baker. And when the whole breakup with Baker happened, it was really just everything. We were just arguing and arguing and arguing, and by the time we had broken up, like I said, was the morning that I realized this was just It was not happening because, like, why are we arguing about me wearing makeup at 7 o'clock in the morning? We're just not doing that. And so that was when that whole falling out had happened. And that was another situation where it just morphed into something different. And that one, I'd like to say it hurt, but it honestly didn't hurt that much to me because I had already been with him before and I had already lost him before. And the first time I lost him was him breaking up with me, but this time it was me breaking up with him. So it didn't affect me as much because at this point in time I had knew that I didn't want this relationship. I didn't like how it was going. I couldn't see a future, nothing. And so it was then that I broke up with him because I realized it was never going to progress into something that I could see long term. And at that point, it was, I'm sparing my time and I'm sparing yours. Like, let's not just harm each other more by keeping this going when we can explore our life outside of this and realize there's more in the world for us. You know what I mean? Um, and so it was shortly after that that I had re-downloaded Instagram. And I will admit, the month without Instagram, it was alright. It was alright. It was alright. I missed posting pictures with music because, like, I know I can do that with Snapchat, but it's not the same as Instagram. It's just not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same. Like, I just need Instagram. I need it. But it's also like a hard form of communication for me because I know so many of my friends use Instagram and a lot of them only communicate with me through Instagram. So it was just better for me. All right. It was just better for me to have Instagram. Okay. I will be editing out all the parts of me actually eating, but trust, I'm messing up the sushi. There's only four left of this one. And then I'm on to my second one. Trust. Me and sushi, we tight. Trust, trust, trust. Anyways, um, when I had re-downloaded Instagram, um, I had a message from Isabel. And for a long time I didn't open it because I just didn't want to know what it said. I honestly didn't want to read her words and get into an argument because when I had seen the message, it didn't give me the notification of it, but I had seen the beginning of it, like when you go into Instagram and you go into the chats and you can see the beginning before it hits that dot dot dot. I had seen the beginning. And when I read it, I was like, I know this is about to be some BS that's going to make me mad. And so I ended up not reading it because I honestly just I wanted to avoid getting myself angry and irritated. And everyone thought that I was crazy, that her message wasn't going to be that bad and it wasn't going to irritate me. And everyone was like, just open it, just open it, just open it. And I waited so long. I waited probably another month until I had opened this message. And um when I had opened it, I had ended up reading it next to a close friend of mine in school in fifth period. And I read it and I had ended up reading it like out loud to her. And I remember both of our faces were like stunned and shocked and disbelief of what she was saying to me. And I remember reading the message and then looking at my friend and looking at her and just like pondering what could have been going through Isabel's mind to say what she had said to me. Because in her second message was really where she went into this whole feelings talk with me, where she was really showing me like how she really felt about me, where she thought that I was just rude to everyone. Everyone knew it. Everyone thought I was rude. Um, I was inconsiderate. I never cared to talk about her life and what she was going through. I never paid attention to her depression and asked her how she was. And I remember looking at my friend beside me and I had asked her, I said, how did Isabel expect me to understand her feelings that she didn't speak out loud? I said, it's not my fault that Isabel didn't come to me when she knew that I struggled with depression and I knew how it felt to feel so alone. She had all the opportunity to come to me and talk to me about those feelings, knowing that I would have understood because I've been there before. I still struggle sometimes feeling that way. So for her to say that to me and say that I was inconsiderate and never tried to understand her feelings, I just like I was baffled. I was honestly baffled because yes, I knew she had it hard, kind of, not really, but she like as an outsider looking into Isabel's life, you think that she's got it good. She's got two parents, she lives in a house, she's got siblings, she's a well-fed girl, she's got everything she needs, okay? She's like not a poor kid by any means, but she was acting as if she didn't have anyone. Like she was genuinely like so depressed to the point that like people should have actually been able to tell. But it wasn't like that. It was never like that. She never talked about her feelings. She never tried to open up to anybody. And every time, and to me, it was baffling to me because at one point in our friendship, she had talked to me about how she felt that I didn't ask enough about her life. And I had spent the rest of the entirety of our friendship asking her about her life every single day, trying to get her to open up, and she never would. So for me to not know that you were having depression and feeling sad when I was always asking you about your life was just baffling to me because it was like, okay, you literally chose not to tell me your feelings and now you're upset that I didn't know them because I can't read your mind. Like I'm baffled, like I'm confused, like I'm like what? Like can I phone a friend? Like I'm spooked, I'm scared, call 911, send help. Like what? 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 Um, but after that message, I didn't end up actually responding to that message. I ended up just reading it. And the things that I did have to say about the message, I had ended up saying directly to her face because I had ended up getting so irritated about it and wanting to know, like, because to me, I like to clarify things within an argument because I don't want to hear one person's side of the argument and then misinterpret it and be mad about something that I'm not even that I'm misunderstanding and I'm not even like comprehending correctly. And so when she had sent me her second message, she was saying that I was mean to everybody and I hurt everybody's feelings. And I was confused because what do you mean everybody considering I don't talk to nobody? And I ended up catching her in the library one day when she was by herself. And I went up to her and I was like, hey, like, can I just clarify a couple things? And she was like, sure, I guess. And I could tell that she did not want to talk to me by any means. Like, she was genuinely irritated the moment I sat down. And to be honest, I didn't give two flying F's, bro. I did not care. Because if you're gonna sit here and say that I'm rude to everybody, I have all the right to ask you to clarify and ask for like why you're saying that. Like I don't care. And so I had asked her, I said, you said I'm mean to everybody and that I've offended all your friends. Who did I offend? What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? Mind you, when I had sent her her message when she was saying that I'm rude to people, she had ended up telling me that some things shouldn't be said, meaning things that I say shouldn't be said. And when I had texted her back, I had said, I was always asking you whether I hurt somebody's feelings or whether I said something I shouldn't. And you always told me no, that I was in the right. So you can't sit here now and say that I was in the wrong and something shouldn't be said when you were constantly condoning my behavior. That's your fault. That's your fault. I always asked if I needed to apologize and you always told me no. That's not my fault anymore. You were condoning my actions. I don't know what you want from me. And she definitely was mad that I said that to her. But to her, it was I offended three of her friends. Well, four of her friends actually. And here are the four friends I offended and how. Let's go through this. First, I had offended one of her friends who had a boy cut, like a haircut, like a boy haircut. And how I offended her was we were all talking about haircuts, And I said that I personally didn't like boy cuts. That's all I said. I didn't say that her friend looked bad with a boy cut. She didn't ask me to clarify. All I said was that I personally did not like boy cuts. That's all I said. That's all I said. And she said I offended her and hurt her feelings. Mind you, when this was said, I had asked her, I said, did I like hurt her feelings that I said that in front of her? Like, should I apologize? Because I didn't mean it like against her. Like, I just personally don't like boy cuts. She's like, no, no, it's okay. You're fine. Okay, so you told me I was okay. Now you're telling me that I offended her. Like, can you make up your mind? Like, I'm confused. So that was one friend. Then another friend she had, I somehow possibly offended her because she said I was too opinionated. Mind you, she's not even friends with that girl anymore. So like how I offended her and she's standing up for somebody she's not even friends with anymore, beyond me. I'm confused. And then apparently I had offended Sally because Sally felt that I didn't include her in any conversations. My apologies, gang. I don't know Sally. Sally's not my friend. I didn't know I had to include her in your conversations. Because if I brought a friend that wasn't your friend, I wouldn't expect you to include her in conversations. I would expect myself to include her in conversations. Because you brought Sally around, not me. So I didn't understand how I offended that one. But okay. And then the last one was I had offended another friend of hers because I told her I wasn't her friend. Mind you, the context to this scenario was her friend had came over and was talking about how she was talking to this girl. And I said, talking to her as in a friend or talking to her as in you're a lesbian? And she was like, yeah, I'm gay. Is that a problem? Because if that's a problem, then we can't be friends. Like, are you homophobic? Oh, see, I don't stand for that. No, because you're not going to ask me if I'm homophobic like that when all I asked if is you were a lesbian, bro. That's crazy. And so I looked at her and I said, who said I was your friend? Somehow, possibly, I upset her and that was the wrong move. My bad, gang. She was accusing me of being homophobic, bro. Like, how do you like? I just asked if you were a lesbian. That's all I asked. All I asked is if you were a lesbian, you were into girls, and you're automatically assuming that I'm homophobic. But I was just trying to make sure that I was identifying you sexually correct. Okay, my bad. My bad. You never know in this generation anymore. But now all of a sudden I'm being accused of being homophobic because I asked if you're a lesbian. I'm done with kids my age, to be honest. I'm done. I'm done. Like, what do you mean? And so it had almost gotten into a heated argument in the library because she was in the library when this was all happening. Because I had told her, I was like, I had walked through each of the four friends, all the scenarios, and said why I felt I was not in the wrong. And she was like, okay, whatever, if that's how you feel. And then she was telling me that she had sent me two long messages. And I was like, oh, well, I didn't receive the second one, so I don't know what you said. She's like, well, I said a lot more to you. Okay, can you say a lot more to me to my face? I didn't think so because she stayed quiet. And I was like, okay, you know what? That's all I wanted to clarify. That's it. Have a lovely day. And I walked away. Because, like, bro, I'm literally not going to sit here and stand for this. It's just not going to happen. And then, like, after that, I completely dropped the situation. I didn't care anymore. I went on about my business, went on about my day, didn't care. Left them, let them be. Let them be. They're not my friends anymore. It's chill. Well, her, Isabel, and Sally have this odd thing with staring at me, giving me dirty looks. And at Spring Fling, they came over by my booth and were standing near my booth trying to act scary. Girl, you're not scary. You're not scary. Get up away from my booth, bro. Like, you don't even have tickets to buy anything, bro. Like, that's how I know you're broke. Just came trying to get free stuff, bro. Get out of my face. Get out of my face. Mind you, I was there helping book club. I didn't see you guys helping. Nah, nah, nah. You're just up in here trying to look scary, bro. And you're not scary. You're not scary. Like, and what's bad about it is that Isabel would never do any of this on her own accord. It's all provoked by Sally. Because whether Isabel likes it or not, she's not a mean girl. She's not a scary girl. She's not going to try to like intimidate anybody. But if somebody's influencing her, she's going to do it. And the only person she's around is Sally. So, have fun being a follower, not a leader, Isabel. Have fun. Because, like, I'm out here living my life and you're over here playing follow the leader. Goodbye. Goodbye. Baker and Isabel weren't my only friendships and relationship that had morphed into something different. And not all of them are bad, some of them can be good. My good example would be my friend Maria. We drifted, yes, but not in a bad way. Throughout high school with her, I only did 2 years with her because she was 2 grades above me. So my freshman year, she was a junior, and then my sophomore year, she was a senior. So I only got to have 2 years with her. And within our 2 years, she had ghosted me a couple times because Maria has a bad track record with guys as well. And a lot of the guys that she would get with, I would see right through, and they didn't like that. And they didn't like that I would be warning Maria about what they were truly doing. And so they would often have Maria kind of close herself off to me. And that had happened between us a couple times. And I would always tell her, that the guys that she was with were bad dudes. She needed to get her head on straight and realize that she needed to be with somebody that actually cared for her. And often we would lose connection over these guys, and then she would come back and she'd be like, "You were so right. These guys were horrible. Um, can you ever forgive me?" And more often than not, I would always forgive her because I do love Maria, and she's had her fair share of downfalls like I have, and I will always be there for Maria. Maria was the only girl that would check up on me even through her own chaotic life. Because Maria has had it through the ringer. That girl has been brought to her knees so many different times, and that girl has gotten back up each and every time. And every time she's on top, she brings me right with her. Every time I'm on top, I bring her right with me. So it was just, you've got to help somebody get up and reach the top in order to look back and say that you guys made it together. And um I I had to help pick her up a couple of times. But throughout those times and our drift in friendship, there would always be a change in dynamic. And our latest change in dynamic has been more of just checkpoints for us. We don't hang out a lot. I've been friends with Maria for going on 5 years, and we've hung out probably enough times for me to count on one hand, to be honest. We don't see each other a lot because she's always busy, but our dynamic has definitely shifted a lot because we did have a point in time where we would talk every day, all day. We'd constantly be snapping each other. We would have a snap streak. We'd have long conversations. We'd be phone calling each other every day. And now, um, I hear from her probably once every other week. I would definitely like to hear from her more. She knows who she is. She watches my episodes. Maria, reach out to me more, girl, okay? Like, I miss you to pieces. Um, but I don't hold anything against her for not responding. Um, she's got a lot going on with her hectic life, And it's not as if that our shift and dynamic in friendship is a negative thing. I have my own path that I'm doing, and she has her own path that we're doing. And when we have our checkpoints, we just talk about where we are in life and how we're feeling about it. We ask each other how we feel. Because, yes, we can have so much going on in our life, but none of that's going to matter if we don't like how we're feeling about it. Maria was definitely my friend that no matter what situation I was in, she would always ask me how I felt about it. It didn't matter what the situation was, how good it was, how bad it was, how stupid it was, if it was the dumbest decision on the planet or the greatest thing ever. It was always, well, how do you feel about it? Are you happy with it? Are you sad with it? What's your thought process? And it could be the greatest thing on the earth, and my thought process could be so ultimately messed up about it, and she would not judge me at all. She'd be perfectly on my side. And it was always either perfectly on my side or perfectly on my side and understanding the other side at the same time. But she was always there to help me calm down. And yes, our drift is hard. Yes, I miss her a lot, but I'm happy where she is in life. I'm happy that she's happy. I'm happy she's taken care of. I'm happy she's progressing. I'm happy she's found a purpose for herself and she's moving and progressing along the way and achieving the goal life that she wants. But the drift is hard, 100%. The loss of connection is definitely something that is hard to cope with, but it's not all losses either. There are friendships that morph into something different in a good way. It could be a friendship that you aren't that close with that person and it blossoms into something like a strong connection. Like in the last episode, in the most previous episode, when Emma was talking about G. He was someone that she wasn't really close with, but they had progressed into a very meaningful friendship. I haven't had something so similar to that, I would say. Um, I don't think I found myself in that predicament. I keep my circle pretty small. I don't like to accept new people into my life. Um, but I will say there are people in my life that I'm getting closer with, but not enough for me to say, "Oh my god, they're my best friend. They're my newest friend and I love them so much." Like it's just not enough to say that. Like I have my close friend, the closest friend I have right now that's getting to that point would be my friend from second period this year. She's such a sweetheart. She saved my senior year and turned it around after I lost Isabel and broke up with Baker, and my life was just really hard at that point. She was right there in second period, always there comforting me. And our friendship is still kind of slowly building and getting closer. We're not super, super tight, but we're getting there. Like, we're getting close. And I'm liking how that friendship is going. She's such a nice, sweet, kind girl. And I really think that we could be great friends in the future if we stay at a great friend pace the way we are right now. But that's where I am in all of my friendships and relationships and how I felt about them, how I dealt with them. And as the school year is ending, because it is over and all I have is graduation left, everything is just feeling really reflective and hectic. And I wanted to just take this time to really reflect on some of the serious friendships I had throughout my senior year and acknowledge even the hurt that I still feel today because yes, I lost Isabel a long time ago. Not super long ago considering we're only in the 5th month of the year and I lost her in January, but it feels like a long time. And yes, we don't talk. Yes, we're difficult and not cordial, but that doesn't mean that I don't miss kind of that connection we had Would I ever be friends with her again? No, because I wouldn't stand for that disrespect to continue into a new friendship. But I do miss the connection I did have with her, and I hope I can find something better or similar in the future with someone different. Um, but like I said, I wanted to take some time to reflect. We only have 9 and 10 in this season, and then we're on into a new season. How are we feeling about that? Do we feel like this season has been wonderful? Do we feel like it's been emotional? How are we feeling? I'm really excited for these next two episodes. I think they're going to be really fun. Um, but I will see you guys in episode 9. And I hope you guys have a wonderful morning, evening, night, whatever you're doing in your day. I hope this felt reflective to you. I maybe sparked some new ideas, maybe some old memories that you're processing. But otherwise, I hope that you're having a lovely day. I hope you sleep well if it's nighttime. And I will see you, my lovely honey crew, in episode 9.